And welcome back to the Hot where we are talking all the action that happened at the BTCC at Silverstone, the penultimate weekend for the Touring Car Championship. We were there in the wet. It was a very dreary day. However, a lot of on-track action and significant results, especially big results affecting the championship. Some people are now pretty much out the running, but in spite of that, it has got very exciting. And exciting is the word of the day, because have a look at this. As you can probably see here, Jake Hill, Tom Ingram tied for the championship on 365 points apiece. Jake Hill only in the lead because of his extra 2 wins, 7-5. Ash Sutton, 33 points behind, still in the running, albeit not just, but he needs a really strong Brands hatch. I mean, it's interesting now. Camish and Cook and Turkington pretty much out of the running. We'll get into the results, but I want to quickly share with you poor Colin Turkington. He was talking about it was really race 3 that completely did him in, because other than that, he had a fairly solid weekend.
Yeah, not the end to the day that I wanted here at Silverstone. You can see the rain behind me, just how wet it is, and race 3, just so much aquaplaning from the start, and I just found it impossible to keep the car on the road. So big.
There was a suggestion that keeping the car on the road when it was absolutely torrential rain, for whatever reason, it did seem a lot harder for the BMWs than any other car.
Frustration that I didn't get anything out of race 3, but fantastic day up until that point. P2 and a P5, the car was reveling in the wet conditions, but race 3 was there's just so much standing water on the track that it become an impossible job. So I leave frustrated, but go to Brands. We're still firmly fighting for Manufacturers Championship, and we'll be there to support Jake as well. So hopefully we can end the season on a high.
I mean, it's kind of like heartbreak for poor Colin, simply because he's there. He's done a really solid job throughout the year. What he's got, when we look at the championship results, he's got 5 wins, so he's got equal the second most. Other than and the only other guy that has got 5 wins is, funny enough, it's Ingram, who's also fighting for the championship. But if I was Tom Ingram, I would now be slightly fearful, especially when you've got a Colin Turkington, one of the best drivers on the grid, supporting Jake Hill. You can make an argument that Tom Ingram, his support, as solid as they are, they're no Colin Turkington. I mean, Ash Sutton now, realistically, he's going to have Dan Camish helping him out, which is not too bad. So in terms of team support, Tom Ingram his best support's got to be Tom Chilton, who has won a race. But in terms of team support, it is going to be Jake and Ash that have arguably the better team, at least in terms of drivers around them. So let's get into winners and losers then of the wonderful British Touring Car weekend at Silverstone. So, winners and losers. Let's talk. As this is penultimate weekend, let's go through driver by driver, and sadly, last in the championship is Nick Halstead. Who's really kind of had like an up and down. So he's only scored 5 points. Sadly, hopefully he's in it next year. He is improving race by race, but I think so far, there was a moment, I think it was him, when Ash Sutton was sent to the back in race 2 because of his team was working on the car during the grid. They were too late working on the car, so he had a drive-through penalty. And then as he was coming through, he just bumped Nick Halstead going into cops, which I thought was really Nick Halstead going into cops. I was like, poor Nick. I mean, that was really bad. Very much bad form from someone that should know better, really. I think it was Nick Halstead that did it. So next up then, we've got Scott Sumpton. And we actually went right near his pits. I walked past him a couple of times as well. It seems like a lovely chap. Does Scott Sumpton. So he finished 15th in race 1, which was okay, I guess. And once again in race 2, Scott finished. Let me see. Did he do a bit better in race 2? I'm trying to look where he finished now. Yeah, he did 16th. No, he didn't. And in the final race, Scott Sumpton finished. Yeah, I tell you, it's so hard. It's so hard to find the 17th. So 15th, 16th, and 17th. Poor guy progressively got worse as it went along. So yeah, average, an extremely average. But next, Dan Sellers. I don't have a picture of him, but I think he's done a really, really solid job. He's got 34 points, and he's now had six races, 2 weekends. And I think he's done really well. I mean, fair play to him. Bobby Thompson's 19th in the championship. As we know, he's got a podium. He's not going to appear again, which is really, really sad because goodness knows, he could have won more races. Darryl DeLeon. How did Darryl DeLeon do? Let's have a look. Let's have a look, shall we? One of the youngest guys in the BTCC. He was 1 lap down, sadly, because of whoops daisy in race 1. 19th in race 2, and 13th. So he scored. He was up there in race 3, which was at least something. Is he going to be around next year? I really hope he is. But so far, he hasn't shown what I think a lot of people thought he was going to. This new guy coming in, I thought he was going to be a lot better than he really was. But yeah. So Chris Smiley, he's currently 17th in the championship with 63 points. He finished 13th in race 1. He ended up finishing. Where did he finish in race number 2? He was up there in race number 2, I think. He finished at 6th, which was really, really a really positive result. Despite in the Cupra Leon, which you can make an argument is possibly one of the weaker cars, and sadly 16th in race 3. But I think with that one really good result, he can, no pun intended, Chris, he can smile as he leaves Silverstone, going into Brands Hatch. So in 16th, we have Sam Osborne, and let's see. Let's remind ourselves. Obviously, the same team as Ash Sutton, Napa Racing, and Sam Osborne finished a solid 8th in race 1, which was I think really good. And the weather was quite bad on race 1. The weather was best in race number 2. He finished 10th in race number 2, and in the final race, Sam Osborne again finished 10th. So he's consistent. So I think one of his better weekends of the year. He's got to go away from that, with considering the absolutely atrocious conditions that he would have to drive in, and he must come out there really happy. Ronan Pearson's 14th with his 1 win in the championship. Sadly, he wasn't at this weekend's race. So next up we have someone that is 14th in the touring car championship, and that is going to be Andrew Watson. I just need to get rid of Sam Osborne. See you later. So let's see what kind of weekend he had. I think it was. I can't really remember. I can't really remember too much about Andrew Watson. That's not good, is it? Hopefully, I'm very much wrong. No, yeah. When he had a solid result in race 1, where he finished 9th. In race 2, he ended up finishing 15th, which was not particularly. Bear in mind where he would have started in race 2, not particularly good. And in race number 3, he finished 14th. So not as good as Sam Osborne. I think you'd be a bit disappointed, really, coming away with that. But he did. To be fair, he did get the one solid result. So, I mean, well done to Andrew Watson. We're trying to stay positive now. We've already spoken about Darryl DeLeon, so Ronan Pearson, Andrew Watson, Aidan Moffat, who since his 1 win in Donington, It's just been an absolutely horrendous season for him. I don't know why. I mean, he's a fair, yeah, okay. I mean, he finished 14th in race 1, 17th in race 2. I mean, what is going on with Aidan Mofer? And obviously a DNF in the last race. I just don't get it. He's a lot better than that. He kind of peaked at Donington and that was it. I don't understand. Aidan, what on earth is going on with your season? It's been a massive disappointment for Aidan Mofer. 13th in the championship is Mikey Doble. So let's have a look at Mikey Doble's race results, shall we? So in race 1, Mikey Doble finished. So I've always got to remind ourselves, because other than the winners with the 3 races, there's so many races. I mean, you've got like between 9 and 11 races on the Sunday, including like the minis. You've got we had two different Paul series. You've got the Formula 4. You've got the Formula 4 series as well, which is absolutely fantastic. The morning one was well, it didn't. Sadly, it didn't happen simply because it was raining. It was I cannot tell you how much it was raining in the morning. Then it sort of cleared up a bit for the first race, even though it was raining. Second race, it pretty much stopped racing, and the third race, oh my god, it was absolutely horrendous. So okay, so who were we talking about? It was Aidan Mofer, wasn't it? Oh yeah, it was Mikey Doble we were talking about. Oh god, this is just an absolute disaster. If you're still watching, congratulations. So Mikey Doble, he ended up having a really bad race 1 with what ended up being a DNF. Oh, poor Mikey. But despite obviously pretty much starting at the back, he finished 14th in that second race, which wasn't too bad. And he ended up finishing 11th, just outside the top 10, obviously, in the third race. So I think considering that first race ended up being quite the disaster for poor old Mikey, I think he'd probably come out fairly happy. Next up, we've got one of the winners of the season. He won a race this season, obviously sadly not at Silverstone itself, but it's Tom Ingram's teammate, Tom Chilton. He didn't feature too much, did he, the weekend at the front, which was the same. I mean, 7th in race 1, which I think he's gonna, he'd definitely be smiling about. He ended up, I don't think he DNF in race 2, didn't he? He went off in race 2, didn't he? As you were watching it, and in race 3, where he would have started quite near the back, he finished 12th. Because let's be fair, people were absolutely going everywhere, weren't they? It was, poor Tom Chilton. So next up, we've now got Dan Rowbottom. So let's go to Daniel Rowbottom, who finished. Let me see. Tom Chilton is still there. See you later, Tom. Hello, Dan. I think he had a. Did he have a solid weekend? He was at the back. He finished. It was a DNF for race 1, so he would have started quite farther back. He got up to 13th for race number 2, and for race number 3, he finished 15th. So not particularly not the best weekend, sadly, for Dan Rowbottom. 9th, Adam Morgan, and Adam is another one like Tom Chilton. I kind of expected him to do so much better overall in this in the championship, and he really hasn't, and he didn't really feature much at all in any of the races. I mean, Adam Morgan, he spun at one point. That was either race 1 or race 2. So in race 1, he finished 11th. In race 2, Adam Morgan finished. Let me see. He finished 7th, which was, so he gained a few positions. He was driving the BMW, so I think, to be fair to him and Jake Hill, he finished just behind Jake Hill in 6th in race number 3, which I think, considering the conditions, added to the fact that he was driving a BMW, I think Mr. Adam Morgan is going to be fairly happy. He's going to be fairly happy with that. So just above, though, Adam Morgan in the championship is also a man that has won 2 touring car races this year, and that is Rob. That's Rob Huff, who, once again, he had a really, I think, for Rob Huff, 17th in the first race, not a good race meeting at Silverstone at all. One that I think he's going to probably want to really forget. I mean, he finished 11th in race 2 and 7th in race 3, so he survived it, but I can't help a feeling he probably would have. He would have wanted to be in the, I think, inside the top 5, at least for one of the races, which yeah, he didn't really achieve, did he? Poor Rub. So Aaron Taylor Smith is our next victim that we're going to talk about. And he ended up finishing, let me see, again, he didn't, from the top of my head, he didn't feature much. I mean, 12th in the first race. Aaron Taylor Smith ended up finishing 9th in the second race. And 9th in the Aaron Taylor Smith in the third race. Sorry. One thing, and I'm going to have to share it with you in the BTCC Forum if they have it. He did have one of the best interviews ever with Louise Goodman. It was absolutely amazing in the Vauxhall, and I have now become one of the biggest Aaron Taylor Smith fans, so simply based on that interview. So a solid-ish weekend, bearing in mind he's in the Vauxhall Astra, which once again I don't think is one of the strongest cars this season, sadly. We've already spoken about the next man, but let's have a chat about him again, because it is championship over pretty much, and he's even admitted as such that he's going to be helping Jake Hill. So he didn't win in any race this weekend, which was a bit sad, because he's my daughter's favourite driver. We got his autograph in the pit lane, which was amazing. He's such a nice guy. He finished 5th in the first race, 2nd in the second race, and it was pretty much a DNF sliding into the gravel, which really destroyed his championship beyond doubt in the third race. But I think he's had a solid championship. People are going, oh no, is this guy still faster? Yes, he is. I do think compared to Jake Hill, he's had a bit more bad luck, although Jake Hill is very much the man at the moment in West Surrey racing. Next year, you never know, it could be different. With a tiny bit of luck, Colin Turkington would still be up there, and he's still one of the best drivers in the BTCC, easily. It's just a massive shame, isn't it, for poor. Yeah, I really felt for him. So there we go. So from Colin Turkington to a certain Josh Cook. I'm just trying to find. Yeah, there we go. Hello, Josh. No, that's Jake Hill. That is one of the championship leaders. Josh Cook again out of the championship. He would have been disappointed. I mean, 6th in the first race. 3rd. I mean, in the first, I think he had an accident, didn't he, in the first race as well? 3rd in the second race, which you would have been really happy about, and 3rd in the final race. Now, yes, why am I saying disappointing? Because once again, he's out of the championship. He coming in, I think he still generally thought he was a championship contender, and sadly, he leaves Silverstone very much not a championship contender. But I think he can still hold his head up high with his 2 wins. He's had 2 second places and 4 thirds so far this year, with 1 race meeting and 3 races still to go. I think Josh Cook should still be absolutely smiling. So let's get into then the last man, the highest man that's out of the Drive Championship, Dan Camish. He finished 3rd in that first race, 5th in the second race, which kind of like was all about tyres, and 4th in the third. So a solid result, but kind of like Josh Cook, he needed more if he was going to stay in that championship. So the first of our championship contenders going into Brands Hatch is going to be Ash Sutton, who you'll be seeing anytime now. There we go. He's about 33 points behind. He had a solid Silverstone for him, and at 4th in the first race. He finished. Where did he finish? I mean, he had a shocker in the second race, 12th, and he just finished 2nd with a bit of argy-bargy with Tom Ingram in that final race, keeping him in the hunt for that championship. So he'll be happy, but slightly thinking, oh, if it wasn't for his mechanics, and it was for a very good reason, still working on his car, which gave him the drive-through penalty, he would be doing better, wouldn't he? He would be a lot more up there. So the final 2 then, we're going to be talking about for winners and losers. I mean, yeah, are the winners of the whole round. The biggest losers obviously being Colin Turkington, Josh Cook, and Dan Camish, who are now out of the championship. But one of the biggest winners there is Jake Hill. I mean, what an absolutely good weekend. Got 1 win compared to Tom Ingram's 2. He finished second. He finished second in race 1. He won that second race and held on, I'll say, for 5th in race 2. But I still think it was a fairly solid weekend for Jake. He's going to still be smiling because the championship is very much in his hands still, and in the hands of Tom Ingram as well, who we'll be speaking about, because Tom Ingram, Tom Ingram had a really good first race, soaking up the challenge because Jake Hill was really catching him. Not particularly good second race. I don't know whether it was down to tyres or not, but he slipped down to fourth, but then he obviously won the reverse grid race, which he did a really good job. He got a really good start in race 3 as well. So that's pretty much a really messy, I'm so sorry about the mess. I'll probably stop this format and start doing something else because there's 3 races to go, and I just find it a bit difficult. Maybe I just probably get confused really easy. But that's our BTCC winners and losers. We're going to be talking about the fallout over the coming weeks as well, and what we're going to be thinking about the championship. It was a really good weekend. We recorded a lot of stuff. Over the next week or two, we'll be sending out some videos as well of what we recorded at Silverstone. We even saw Nick Hamilton. There's an interesting story on that as well. And we will no doubt speak to you soon. But before you go, if you are still watching, please, if you're not subscribed, it does mean a lot. Just click on that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hit that notification button so you get notified each time we have a video. And even if you don't do that, just click a like if you learned anything or you enjoyed the absolute ramblings that was me today. Sorry about that. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.